Hey, Advanced Foods 2. Guess what? It's cinnamon roll week. So, you're going to do cinnamon rolls. It's going to be broken down into basically 3 days because cinnamon rolls take a while to rise. So, this is going to be day 1, making your cinnamon roll dough. So, we are dealing with yeast. Okay? This stuff that's in this little packet right here, this little microorganism. If you don't handle it right, your cinnamon rolls won't rise. Okay? So, there's a lot to this, and a lot of it is careful measuring, not handling the dough too much. We talked about the formation of gluten in our PowerPoint with the quick breads. It's the same basic thing. You don't want to overwork it. You don't want to underwork it. You got to get right temperatures with yeast bread. We're worried about temperatures. If you don't get the right temperature, you won't activate these things. If you get too high of a temperature, you'll kill these things. So I'm going to go through what you're doing on day 1. So the recipe calls for, the recipe is very specific, okay? I make your recipes very specific, so you don't need me over. Plus, by watching this video, you don't need me over in the kitchen telling you every single step. All right, so first things first, it says measure 4 cups of flour into a strainer and sift over a mixing bowl and set aside as needed. So the recipe says you're gonna need 3 to 4 cups of flour. I will show you the Delaney fast way of doing it. See this bowl right here? It's in the cabinet with your mixing bowl. What's it called, boys and girls? The batter bowl. See this thing? The strainer, not the colander, but the strainer. You guys are Advanced Foods 2, you should know this by now. So I'm gonna put this over my bowl. Take my flour. I don't know why I've got sugar right there, I don't know. Take my flour. Sift it right into this bowl. So half of this bowl is 4 cups. I want to make sure I get at least 4 cups. So do the shimmy, shimmy, shake. Get those lumps out of there. What am I at? I'm at about 2.5, 3 cups. So I'm going to do a little bit more. You do not have to level it out. You don't have to count it out. That's going to be way too much, but I'd rather have way too much than not enough. So again, this goes right into this batter bowl. We're going to have our sifted flour ready to go. We're almost there. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Right into that bowl. All right. Do we put this floured strainer into the dishwasher? No. Into the wash? No. Shake it out. You want to make sure you shake it out really well. There's no flour left in there. When you wash it, it'll get gummy. So make sure you shake all of that out. It's all out of there. So now I've got it in my sink. So that's ready to go. I'm going to set that aside. We're going to heat the milk, and it tells you we need 3/4 of a cup of milk. It tells you to use your large 2-cup liquid measuring cup. Now, this is where mistakes have been made before in the past. You only want 3/4 of a cup, but we're using the large mixing liquid measuring cup because we're going to add things to it, and that level's going to rise. It's called the displacement method. So you want to do 3/4 of a cup right there, not 1 3/4 of a cup, which is there. I've had people, and I've caught them before, where they've had way too much milk. So 3/4 of a cup. We're going to heat it up. Get down at eye level. Do this correctly. That's 3/4 of a cup. It says heat it in the microwave for about 40 seconds. And we're going to use the digital thermometer to check the temperature of it, because we want that temperature to get between 110 to 120, not over 120, okay? So I'm going to go heat this up real quick. I will be right back. Ooh, that was a quick 40 seconds. See how fast that time flew by? Okay, take this thermometer. I have it on. I'm going to kind of stick it towards so it's in the middle, not down at the bottom. I'm going to make sure that this gets up to, it's already at 108, 110, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 118, 119. It's slowing down, so that's a good sign. 120, 121. Now it's back down to 120. That's what I want. So it's going between 120, 121. That's fine, okay? Because I'm actually going to add butter to this. So it tells you. Then you're going to add sugar, butter, and salt to your milk. So that's 1/4 of a cup of butter. I added right in there. I have 1/4 of a cup of sugar that I leveled off. Put that in there. And I need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I forgot to get measuring spoons out. So I need 1/2 teaspoon. So the sugar is going to be the food for the yeast to eat. I'm going to level this off. This is all accurate measuring, not just fill it in there. Okay. I've got my salt in there. I'm actually going to take a fork, kind of stir that up. You do not expect the butter to melt. The butter's not going to melt. Okay, I have the fork stuck in the butter. Just fine, but I'm stirring this up, getting that other stuff to dissolve, which is what I want to do. Then I'm going to set this aside. I am done with this for a little bit. Then we're going to let it cool. It's going to actually cool down. It says cool down to lukewarm, about 80 to 85 degrees. We don't ever recheck it. By the time we need it, it's cooled down enough. And like I said, that butter's not going to completely melt, but set that aside. So that's sitting aside with my already done flour. So I'm already down to step number 3. It says heat 1/4 of a cup of water. Use your 1 cup liquid measuring cup. Okay. Now, our hot water here at school can get really hot. I've got my hot water on my counter going. You're going to do the same thing. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit warm. We will test the temperature to see how hot it gets. And usually it gets plenty hot to where we can use the water straight from our faucet, the hot water. If not, we would again heat it up in the microwave. If you start to see steam, your water's going to be way too hot. Okay? Come on, hot water. I know it takes a while to get to my counter. So I kind of hold my thermometer into my stream of water, and it's already up to 90 degrees, 92, 94. And again, the magic number is over 110. Over 110, but not past 120. So we're at 102, 103, 104. Don't call me a liar. You guys used to always get hot enough. It's getting there. It's already up to 107. So I should have gotten this running sooner. It's kind of leveling out at 107. 108. Yeah, it should be getting hotter than that if I turn it up more. All right, I may have to heat this up in the microwave, but I'm not going to do it for longer than 30 seconds, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do. So I need about 1/4 of a cup of water. And again, eye level to level it, measure it out. Let me see how hot it is. Yeah, that's not getting hot enough under the faucet. Okay, so I am going to go over, put this in the microwave for probably about 20, 30 seconds, and we'll see how it goes. So I didn't use the microwave. I actually went over to Unit 1, used Unit 1's water, and it got up to about 115 degrees. And that's good, as long as it's not over 120, and it's not. So I didn't even use the microwave. So what I'm going to do to this is take this packet of yeast. Okay, so when you have a recipe that says 1 or 2 packets, it's these little packets, they come in 3s, okay? Then you cut one of these out. So you do the little shimmy, shimmy, shake to get all that stuff that's in there down, cut it open, and it says to dissolve the yeast in there, and it's gonna look brown, it's gonna be grainy, and it's gonna look muddy. So this is when you need a fork, and you vigorously, okay, get all of that stuff that's stuck to the side, vigorously stir this. And you can see it looks muddy, and it smells too. It doesn't smell good. It's not one of those things I tell you that smells good. I'm not gonna be telling you to be smelling it. You'll be able to smell it through your mask. So I'm gonna keep vigorously dissolving this. I don't want any lumps. So see, there's a lump on my fork. I don't want that. So I'm just gonna keep stirring it till that lumps are all gone, and there shouldn't be any lumps in there. Okay, so I'm going through with my fork. There's no lumps in there. This is good. So the recipe says to soften your yeast in 1/4 cup warm water. That means you're going to stir it till there's no lumps in it, just like what I just did. All right, so my yeast is ready to go. All right, we are down to step 5. It's going to pour mixture into your large mixer mixing bowl. So we are going to make sure this is cleaned out. There's nothing in there. You guys were the last ones to use it. You guys made your chocolate soufflés with these things. So pour the milk mixture into your large mixing bowl. Make sure you stir this. So here's my milk and my butter. Stir it up before you put it in there to make sure we got any sugar or salt that didn't get dissolved, that's off of there. So that goes into this bowl. Then to the cooled milk mixture, we're going to add our softened yeast. So again, mix that up. That goes in there. So if we got those little yeasts activated, they are now eating the salt, the sugar. The salt's going to help slow them down and calm them down a little bit. To the cool softened yeast, your egg and half the flour. So you want 1 beaten egg. So make sure you have 1 egg. Put it in a bowl. Beat it up. So give that a good beat. That goes into the bowl. Then this is going to go under my electric mixer, and it says half the flour mixture. So I've given you a percentage or a fraction to the cool milk mixture and half the flour. So about 1.5 cups of the flour. So we don't want to scoop this because we sifted it. So we're going to spoon it in. So spoon this in. Don't scoop it like I just about did. So we want about 1.5 cups. I'm going to level that off. So there's 1 cup. Then I need 1/2 cup. Here's my half. Spoon it in. Don't let me catch you guys scooping. Because if you put too much flour in this, it's not going to work. If you don't have enough flour in this, it's not going to work. This is going to go underneath the electric mixer for about 30 seconds. I'm going to move the camera, get this set up, and we'll see how this works. Okay. All right, so here's my beater paddle. I'm going to start this on low. Let that mix for about 30 seconds. Which is your recipe tells you to do this. We're going to put it on about, speed it up, do it about 2 minutes, slowly speed it up. And I'm going to do this for about 2 minutes. So see how I'm slowly speeding it up? So let me do this for 2 minutes and then I'll be back. So it's been almost 2 minutes. You can see that it's very, very liquidy, and that's fine. Okay, now I'm gonna add a little bit more flour, but I wanna show you guys something before I do that. So we are gonna use a dough hook. This thing right here, okay? We gotta have this ready to go. So you're gonna take your non-stick cooking spray. I'm gonna do this over here, over the trash can where you guys can still see me. I'm not doing it over my floor because it'll make me slip and fall. So I'm gonna spray the top of it and just kind of spray it. Have that ready to go. You don't spray your dough hook, it's gonna stick horribly to it. So what I'm gonna do now, and your recipe tells you, after about 3, start to add enough of the remaining flour to make a soft dough. 1 cup at a time until it starts to form a dough. So after we add 3 cups in there, so we've got 1.5 cups, and I'm spooning in and gonna level off another cup of flour. So always spoon it in. So that's 2 cups I've got in there. I technically have 2.5. So I'm gonna carefully, rather you guys see this and not me. So I'm going to carefully pour this in here. Kind of go a little over here, a little over there. And again, start your mixer out on low. Don't start it out on high, or you'll get a flour shower. So slowly speed it up. While that's working in, I'm going to get 1 more cup of flour. So that'll be 3.5 cups of flour I have in there. I'm getting 1 more cup ready to go. I'm going to speed it up just really quick. Now I'm also going to scrape down the sides right now. So I'm going to take my rubber scraper. I've got some flour up there, some flour over here, some flour over there. All right, so I scrape that off. Then I'm going to add a little bit more, another cup of flour. After this cup gets mixed in, I'm going to switch over to that dough hook. So again on low. All right, you can see how it's starting to form. All right, that didn't take very much because I just want to get it to where it starts to form. So I'm going to take this off, scrape it off with your rubber scraper. And yes, it's starting to be sticky, and that's fine. We want it sticky. Scrape this off as best you can. Get off of there. All right. If I had my little rubber scraper, that would help a lot better than this bigger one. Come on. All right. That's good enough. So now I'm going to put on my dough hook. Put that on. And I'm going to have 1 more cup of flour. This will make it 4.5. I may add this whole thing. I may not. But I'm going to sprinkle it in a little bit at a time. But I'm going to have it ready to go. All right, sprinkle a little bit of this in. That's probably about 1/2 cup. And again, start it on low. And this is where you got to be careful. Start to add enough of the remaining flour, 1/2 cup at a time, until it's no longer sticking to the sides of that mixing bowl. So you can already see in there that it's not sticking very much. And depending upon the weather, you may add a little bit more, you may add a little bit less. Depends upon how much moisture is in the atmosphere. I'm sprinkling just a little bit more. I haven't put that whole 1 cup in there yet. This might do it. I'll show you what we're going to look for. And you may have to lock it down because it can start to get bumpy. But get this up to high. And you can see how that's pulled completely away from the edges of the bowl. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Now here comes the other test. The other test is if I can touch it. If I touch it, is it going to stick to my fingers? So you see, I touch it. It's not really sticking to my fingers. Okay? It feels like tape. Okay. So I don't want to add. See, look at that. Yeah, now it just did. Okay? But it's not sticking to my fingers. So the next part of it is when I'm going to knead it, and I'm going to add a little bit more flour to it. So as long as it's not sticking to my fingers, even though it's sticking there, but when I lightly touch it, I may just, for the fun of it, just add 1 more in there just really quick. All right, now I know it's ready to go. So that's ready. So now we're gonna move back over to the counter and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna knead the dough. So to knead the dough, we are actually got that light snow flour. See, snow flurries. I don't want a blizzard. And basically I'm gonna fold, push, turn. And I have flour on my hands too. Fold, push, turn. Fold it, push it, turn it. Fold it, press it with the heels of your hands. If you're left-handed, you can do 2. If it starts to stick to the counter, bring some of that flour from the edges in. You do this for 5 minutes. Okay, I've already been doing this a while. In fact, I've been doing this for 3 minutes. Okay, but as soon as it starts, if you see it, if it feels tacky like tape and it's not sticking to your hand, you're fine. But if it starts to stick, okay, then you're gonna reestablish. Pull that in, smooth it out. Fold, push, turn. Fold, push, turn. It's not doing this. It's not, you know, looking at your phone while you're doing this. You do not have your phones out, period. Okay? You may take turns because you do get an upper body workout. So see, it's getting a little tacky, and if I have to get a little bit of flour and fold it there we go. I've got basically 1 more minute left on this that I've been dealing with this dough. So it's fold, push, turn. Fold, push, turn. You get that rocking motion. Fold, push, turn. So after you've done this for 5 minutes, I'll show you a way that you can tell if you've kneaded it enough. We've developed that gluten. And see how I lift it up and I fold it under? That gets a smooth top to it. That's what I want you guys to be able to do. So it's getting sticky again. Almost dropped my dough. So again, fold, push, turn, get it worked in. And I've been going for 5 minutes with this. I may go for another minute just to make sure. So how can I tell? Look, I'm going to fold it under. See how I'm handling it? Get it nice and smooth. Now watch. Take my 2 fingers. Push down. Do you see how it sprung up, back up? I can see my nail prints. That's fine. But it does not stay down in there. That's a sign that I kneaded this, that it's a good knead. If you take your fingers, so again, I'll show you. Make a smooth top. See how I kind of roll it under? Take my 2 fingers, push it down. And I don't know if you guys can see very well, but it springs up. You can still see, it's not staying down in there. You can see a little bit of an indentation, but for the most part, it springs up. That's a good sign, okay? So I've been dealing with that for 5 minutes. So what are we gonna do from here? We're almost done with the end of day 1. You're gonna get your glass mixing bowl. I will probably be giving you one. You're going to get a paper towel, and your directions say put about a tablespoon of oil in there. So you are. Am I measuring it out? No, because I can probably tell. It's about the size of a quarter, a little bit bigger than a quarter. There we go. Take a paper towel. Rub the oil all around the bowl. Okay? Then you're going to take this nice ball, and again, try to get that smooth top on the top. Put it down in there, like so. It wouldn't hurt to dab a little bit of oil on top of it. We're gonna press and seal this, okay? If you wanted to make these tonight, you would just put a nice warm cloth, set this in a nice warm place. Like turn your oven on. You know how your oven gets hot on the top of it? Turn your oven on, put it with a warm rag on top of it, damp rag on top of it, let it sit for about an hour. This should double in size, okay? But for us, it's going in the fridge. We're gonna press and seal it, it's gonna go in the fridge. Day 2, we're gonna come in, I'm gonna show you how to punch it down. We're gonna roll it out and shape it into cinnamon rolls, then let them rise again. So that's it for day one.